Welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter, your home for all things relating to smart home technology. In this episode, we're going to talk about the FNIRSI DSO TC3, and it's more than an oscilloscope, so please stay on this video right now. You're going to have some surprises. Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and we'll be working on this together. This content is also available as an Amazon Flash Briefing or podcast. Please go to techbiteswithronnutter.com for more information. For any items mentioned in this episode, there are affiliate links available in the description. If you click on these links, I will get a small commission, but that won't affect the price you pay for the item. If you want to get notified when new content is uploaded, please click on subscribe and enable notification. Now here's what we're going to be covering in this video, and that's on the FNIRSI, I think that's how it's pronounced, DSO TC3. It's more than an oscilloscope, so please hang on. Once you see these items, you're going to want to really get to know more about this. Item number one, Smarthome troubleshooting tool. Now, what this will do is for all those remotes that we all seem to keep collecting, occasionally they stop working. And most of the time, probably a battery replacement fixes it, but there's times a battery replacement doesn't, and at least using a function in the TC3 will help you see if the remote is still transmitting. Now, if it's transmitting right, we can't tell you that unless you've gone through the process of benchmarking that remote to know which button sends out what code. That's a useful thing to do depending on how far that you want to take this. Now, item number two, temperature sensor. I found two different temperature sensors based on the modes that are in the TC3. One gives you temperature only, one gives you temperature and humidity. Again, another use for the TC3. And item number three, component tester. Now, every once in a while, I run into a situation to where a component's gone bad. Sometimes you can't tell. Now, if a resistor is blown, you'll have some black carbon and two separate pieces, which used to all be one. There are things like capacitors, Zener diodes, or Zener diodes, however you want to pronounce it, transistors. There's all sorts of things that you can test to see where the problem is. Now, part of a learning process is going to be testing the component out of circuit versus in circuit. In circuit can cause the readings to change a little bit, but you'll see more of that as we move on. Okay, now the first thing we're going to get into is what I call the Smarthome troubleshooting tool. You won't need your manual for this part of it, but until you become really comfortable with the TC3, the temperature sensor and especially the component testing portions, you may need to consult the manual a little bit because it uses different parts of the ZIF socket or zero insertion force. And this is really kind of one of the things that is the secret sauce of the TC3. So what we're going to do here is move on to showing you how it can help you deal with when your smart home remotes stop doing what you think they should be. So we'll press OK, and then we will go, we need to zoom in just a little bit so you can get a better picture of what's going on here. And that way I can see better too. Okay, so we'll go down here and you look for number 5, which is IR decode. You can go ahead and press OK. It's really not, I don't think it's needed, but I try to be consistent in my approaches. Now, this is what's going to help you. Now, your IR sensor in the TC3 is right over here. So we'll just point the remote at it and see it captured something. So it says it's using the appropriate protocol. There are some remotes that use their own protocol, and you'll see more of this. If I can take a quick look at the manual, and it's going to tell me infrared decoding, and there is a particular protocol that it looks for, and of course the manual doesn't specify it, but you'll find it easily enough. Basically, if the remote's compatible with it, it's going to work. Now, what this will tell you is that it is in fact transmitting. It still may not tell you much beyond that, and you can see minor changes. What this does is confirm for you that things are actually working. So we'll go to over here to the Amazon remote. Okay, it responded to it. I'm trying several different buttons. Okay, we're good there. And anytime you see the blue and red dot up front, that says it's reading the remote. So let's go here to another remote. Yeah, see, it doesn't show you anything, and it's not. So I've tried several different ones. So now this happens to be the Nikon remote. I didn't really have high expectations that it would work. And of course it's tied into my camera right now, so I know that it's working from that respect. You can try other remotes. I know the Roku, I've run into issues with it, not working. But this at least gives you a way of troubleshooting, and if the remote says it's working, and yet the IR receiver or the stream receiver you're using with, or whatever receiver is the endpoint, then you can next try making sure the sensor window is clear, that's not smudged over. If that doesn't work, it could be the voltage is just low enough in the smart remote battery to be a problem. And at that point, you can replace the battery, and if it still doesn't work, you may have to do some hard resets of things, or possibly try changing the remote. That I've not had happen yet, but I always try to keep my mind open for possibilities. Now we're going to move to the temperature sensor selection, and there's two different temperature sensors that it's going to work with. So the handy thing here is that you have your choice. If you want just straight temperature, that's it. If you want temperature and humidity, you can have that too. It's basically whatever you feel like, or what, more importantly, maybe what you may be able to get to. Now, if you get to the one that works with option number 3, which is the DS18B20, now this will actually come as 2 parts. And it doesn't tell you how to wire it, but it just took some guessing to a great degree on how to wire it. So 3, not pin 3. Ground, I pretty much figured they were going to use black, because that's kind of the universal color for using ground in most cases, at least on the DC side. And it's VCC. I said, okay, that's probably positive voltage. Now, of the remaining colors, red and yellow, it made sense for me to go to red. And then data, I said, well, the only color left is yellow. So I put those in and screwed them in, and then you basically have to back out the screws, carefully slide each connector down there as far as you can get it, but where you're not, shoving it through the other side, which you really can't. And then carefully tighten those down, and then you really shouldn't have to touch it again. Now, to get this to work, we'll go down here to 18B, and it just says 3 pins, and it says 1, 2, and 3. So we'll pick pretty much any one of these, and we'll just go in here, and let's go turn here, and we'll flip up the connector, and you can see it's already reading it, and that's somewhere around, I don't know, in the high 70s. I don't normally use Celsius. That's the one downside to this device, is there is no way to convert to change a configuration of item over from Celsius to Fahrenheit, at least none that I've found. So that's one option. So with this card, you can sit there. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Okay, let's get down in here, put this down here, and then there. Okay, now I got it in there right. I had it when I flipped it up. I forgot that loosened the grippers for the wire, for the probe wires, and then I lowered it back down, and so that locked in. So you can see I picked it up pretty much by there. And then we'll go OK, and then we'll go down here to the DT111. Now this is the one that will do both temperature and humidity, and it says 1, 2, and 4. Well, there's not a 1, 2, and 4 on here, so I'll just pick one of the 1, 2, 3 combinations. And so you see it's reading it already, so it's it's pretty close to the other sensor in terms of humidity. Shows you the temperature, and shows you the humidity. So this one you can carry around with you easier. The cable one is more for putting it in a certain place, and you just come by and hook up the sensor. So that's certainly one option, or 2 options you've got for doing temperature, because this is something that can be very handy, especially on the fly, or if you want something then to go out and find your regular thermometer on what to do. So let's go ahead and we'll back out here. We'll release the pressure on the probes, on the probe pins actually. Okay, now our last thing to show you on the component testing side of the TC3 is going to be identifying particular components. So we'll first start out with a set of resistors. Let me get this open here and we'll take it out here. Now we can use the, let me get this in, you can see what I'm doing, trying to get these out without tearing something up. Okay, so this is, come on, here we go. So that's a new pack of resistors. So you can either take one out here and you have to bend it around a little bit with the wires, with the leads, and you can put it in the ZIF socket. Or one of the things that was sent with this is some probes that go directly into the ZIF socket, and then that gives you some options on what to do. Okay, so that's there. So we'll click OK, and we'll go down here to, whoops, camera shifted focus on me here. Oh, we're in the wrong menu. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. We actually have to go over here to what's called M tester. I'd love to know what the M stands for. So we'll hit OK. So there's nothing on there now. So what we can do is take the probes. So with a resistor, they're not polarity sensitive. So we will clip one wire here and the other wire here. Doesn't matter which one you clip first. And then we'll hit OK. So it'll go to testing. And 10 ohms, called it dead on the money. Now there's always going to be some, or the potential for some fluctuation. So that's, you know, one way to do it. And like I said, these are, you know, just happens to be a, you know, you can get a decent kit of these ones, and these are from the folks at ELEGOO. So there's a whole collection of resistors in there. So especially if you're colorblind, that is going to be helpful for you to identify the right resistor. Now another test source that you can use is, and I'm going to keep this on the anti-static bag, is the signal tracer board. Now if you start to use something like this, do not, I repeat, do not apply the power to it. You want this thing in a non-powered state. So we'll go down here, and yeah, this is a challenge. I would encourage you to test with some just component, get you a couple different component boxes you might be able to find in an assortment. And let's see if I can get this one down here. Ah, here we go. There's some test points. Now when you get into a circuit where things are already connected together, your values may read a little differently. And let me get this. All right, and let's go here. Now we'll go down here and press OK for it to start identifying. Okay, it's a 6.7K. Now that may or may not be its true value, because if you were to go down here, it might come out with a different value. Because keep in mind, there's an alternate path in here, so you may get disparaging values. So that's the downside, but at least this gives you testing with an in-circuit situation, because you may have some of that. So just keep in mind the values may not reflect accurately with what's going on. So these are three different ways that you can use this, and these are using features either off the tool menu, off the tools menu, or the other M-Tester menu. This gives you some additional resources to look at when you're trying to test something, to see if it's a component failure, if you have a remote that's acting up. There's some battery testing you can do, but we'll do that one another time, because these are three features you're not going to see a whole lot talked about, and this is something that could be very useful for you.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see videos on the screen that are similar to the one you just watched, or other content that YouTube thinks you might be interested in. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on that like button, thumbs up,
If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe and enable notifications. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.